Of the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors, we have an agenda in front of us. Do we have any additions, corrections, deletions? I'd like to add, just talk a little bit under items of note, the facility out there at County Conservation, maybe some improvements we could make.
And I'd like to add panic buttons for the, out at the court. A little discussion.
For clerk of court,
Yeah.
did you say, look?
Yeah, out at the court system.
Darn it. Quit it.
Alrighty.
Anything else?
There we go.
I have nothing else to add. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment.
I don't know why it does that.
It's been moved and second to approve the agenda. Further discussion, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. County engineer, you've got to get over to Northwood, so.
Good morning.
Morning, morning.
We're going to have preliminary plan submission for Hickory Bridge today, so we'll get them turned in. Last week I mentioned about an STP application. I think what I want to do, and we're forecasting out this fiscal year 18, so we're ways out, but that's how long it's going to take to maybe build up some STP funds, because the current accumulation of funds right now is going to go for McIntyre to Statesville, that road that we put in there a few years back for overlay. We've got that road coming up. We've got Walnut Farm to Market Road the year following, and then fiscal year 18 I think we'll have enough money again, and I want to do something on T38 south of town. If you guys want to look at it some more or whatever, but I think that's probably the next road that's gets a lot of traffic. It's getting pretty rough. The bridge approaches are not so good, and I think 4 years from now it's probably going to be worse. So if we're trying to forecast out, I don't know where else we can probably look at it. Now, it's just something to submit. That doesn't mean we can't push it back or change dollar amounts right now. I've estimated if we do, and I don't know where asphalt prices are gonna be, whether we do an asphalt or concrete. I was thinking a concrete overlay on top of concrete. Right now, it's an 1.5 inch class 1 type B base underneath with a 6-inch concrete top. Now, we can do a concrete on concrete overlay. You can do bonded, unbonded, whatever. I guess we've got a lot of time to decide what we want to do, but I just kind of threw a number of $400,000 a mile. It's a 4.5 mile stretch, and we're looking 4 years out, so prices aren't going to go lower.
Right.
So it's a $1.8 million job estimated. Like I said, the closer we get to construction, we can adjust those dollar figures. We just want to put something in for the federal money so they kind of know where we're focused for money coming up. So
when you lay that over concrete, what do you do to the concrete?
there's two different ways you can do it, unbonded or bonded. If you bond it, there's probably going to be patching and stuff that needs to take place. But if you bond over the existing, you got to match every saw joint, because those saw joints will come back through. You can do unbonded, where you put either a fabric interlayer or an asphalt interlayer to separate the two pavements so the reflective cracking doesn't come through. So there's two different methods of that. Plus, I guess another option is a crack and seed with an asphalt overlay, but we get a lot of traffic on there, so you're looking at least a 4-inch, maybe a 5-inch asphalt overlay on top. So nothing
What's the
minor.
next step then?
Well, what's that?
What's the next step after that then?
After,
Concrete, asphalt, then another concrete?
you know, sooner or later we're gonna have so much structure under there that, what do? You're right. Whether you do a complete reconstruction, where you take everything back out and start over, which, if you've got all that structure underneath, recycle it for base, but, you know, it's what you do. I mean, if you wanna do a complete reconstruction of that stretch of road, we don't have the money.
All right, I know.
So, I know the road's got some pretty rough spots. The joints are wide enough now. We tried filling them in to kind of make everything a little bit better. So we're trying to keep the moisture out and kind of keep it longer to maybe make it last until then. The DOT's gonna detour it this year, so we're gonna get more truck traffic on it. So, looking at the map and where we're at with all of our paving, that just seems like the next logical step. That road, when you come down that hill, that's the worst spot down by that bridge, is the worst stretch of road. But if we're gonna do part of it, we might as well do all of it. So I don't know if you guys are okay with that. You guys wanna, you know, all I need is approval to submit it to the
Like you say, we can pull it, we can change it.
we can move it around. It's just, I wanna throw something in there, so we've got something in the program for the next few years. Cause like I said, we've got some little stuff from here on out, but it's just an estimate right now, and I think in that many years, we'll probably need to do something to it. So I know we've got some minor stuff, but I think, You know, we've got Zinnia that's kind of falling apart a little bit, but we'll have farm to market money coming up later on that, and that's a local road, we can't use STP on it anyway. So we've got some here and there roads to look at, but,
This road right out here is in pretty rough shape, it's a truck bypass,
yeah.
that can't last much longer.
Is that terrible? I don't traffic too.
Yeah, we're, you know, 105's,
105,
I mean, it's,
I came back that way yesterday from Minneapolis and there's some nasty bumps there just before you get to Carpenter.
yep,
I don't know if you shaved them
we'll have
off
to be
or
shaving
what.
some of them off, and
You know, there's 2 of them about a mile.
some of that's maintenance, and this is kind of what's our next big project. Like I said, maybe next year, maybe we go through this year, we figure that maybe we should do something different. Well, next year we can submit another STP after, push this back, whatever we need to do, but I think where we're at, if we're gonna focus on something, I think that's probably the next place to focus it on, so.
Well, and I was disappointed in the papers. The governor is explaining that the only way he's going to support a rise in the user fee
Yeah,
for roads is we're gonna have to have a reduction in property taxes. And so if that doesn't happen, I mean, and again, the proposal out there right now is a 3-cent
is it,
gas
it's,
increase, 3 cent and 4 cent in 3 years, you know?
Yeah,
So
3, 3,
basically
4.
in 4 years down the line, before you get your full 10 cents,
yeah,
it's gonna be a hell of a long time before we are
See
able
the full
to really
dollars.
get anything done on secondary roads at 3 cents. I mean, there isn't enough money again to,
well, that's what they said, wasn't it? If I remember right, 10 cents is just to maintain. 10 cents doesn't get us
yeah,
beyond
and
maintenance.
like I say, we don't get that full dime if they approve it right now for 4 years.
Right, so,
Where's
There
all
is
the-
another-
Where's all the money going now?
Well, 60% of it goes to the state, you know, gas tax.
and they distribute some of that back through road use
I mean,
funding, but,
I guess I'd like to know how many dollars are collected every year.
well, I can find that information out if they talk. about it.
Curious to know,
Yeah,
because
see if I
how
can
much
dig
of
it up.
that is just, you know, because what I see done, the state, I mean, I don't know, there's so many of these state highways and,
See, and I don't know, I guess I look at that too, when the state has a project to do, they can't, you know, I feel like sometimes we end up having to Band-Aid a lot of our stuff just to get by, and it's like when they do something, they just do it to the full tilt, because they can, but I'm not saying that, they gotta schedule stuff too, like everything else, and try to,
what, 218?
Right.
Up to the 4 mile corner.
but when they do a project, they get the funding to, you know, they've got
Right.
other sources,
That's a federal road.
so.
But the other thing that was surprising is poll in the Des Moines Register, 2/3 of Iowans do not support any increase in,
Because most people live in an urban area.
I don't know if I told you guys or if I told Worth County that when I talked to Senator Breitbach from Strawberry Point, he's all for it, but he also had a conversation with some of his urban constituents, and they're not for it, but they get the money from, they got enough taxes in the big cities and the more high-dollar counties, they've got that money, but,
Well, I wouldn't say they'd say that, though.
what's that?
They won't admit that.
No, they won't, but,
They gotta move snow on all those roads, you know.
yeah.
That was the biggest discussion at the forum, the gas tax.
Iowa is third in the nation for a number of miles of roads, too, you know, so.
Yeah,
California and Texas are 1 and 2, but Iowa's got a lot of roads. And,
you know,
yeah, this Title VI stuff, they sent it back saying, well, you used the wrong form. So what they do, they made an electronic form exactly like I turned in, but it's a fill-in-the-blank form, so actually nothing's changed.
Just need to re-sign the new one.
Yeah, I actually signed one of them that I didn't have, that I should have, so we'll just get it all redone. I have to do the same thing in Worth County, so. They said, oh, we changed the form, and then it's an online form, so.
Forget what's STP stand for.
State Transportation Program.
Okay, thank you.
So you need a motion for
To approve that project to put into the
The STP thing?
yeah, to put the STP out.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll
STP
second.
program. So when you do that road from Stacyville to McIntyre and Walnut, we doing these all in 1 year, or just
No.
gonna do 10 mile stretch at a time?
Fiscal year 15 is a 10-mile stretch. That's the McIntyre Statesville, and the following year we'll use farm to market on the walnut.
Just for fiscal year 14, or just say 13?
This will be fiscal year 18, that STPF.
Okay.
We're in our long-range program budget, so. The service truck isn't here yet, they had a problem with paint.
We better finish, we got a
Oh.
motion on the table.
Sorry, forgot about
That's
that.
a way to go. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, vote Lander.
Aye.
Royal.
Aye.
Block, aye, motion carried.
Okay, I'm gonna see if that service truck will be ready this week. They had a paint issue, they didn't get the paint in or something, they had the final coat to put on, so
What color?
white. Looks good in the
I was gonna see
snowstorm.
you in a snowstorm.
Lights, we're gonna light that baby up. So, other than
Shouldn't be out
that,
in the snowstorm.
no.
Might have to be then.
I was planning on going down to get it Friday and it just wasn't quite done yet, so. We'll probably hopefully get it this week, maybe hopefully today or tomorrow we can go get it, it's here for Thursday, but. That being said, even if we get it that early, I don't think Mark will have it ready to go for what he wants to put in it, but. Anyway, we're getting geared up for the next big thing. The next two big things, I guess, Thursday night and Sunday night.
How much of our salt do we have left?
We have only ordered 300 ton out of our 1,000 ton. We're trying to clean the shed out a little bit, let it air out, so we're back. I don't think we're gonna run out, but we've got till June to pick up the rest of our salt, and we can add another 20% to our order, which, if we get that thing cleaned out, maybe we'll just add 20% to our order with the prices that they're at, because I don't expect them to come down for next year. We'll see where we're at. We're doing okay on it, but we're trying to clean out the sheds and get them.
Have we used 20%,
Oh,
30%,
we've used-
50%?
We had it full, we're down to about, we've used 2/3 of what we had stockpiled. So, these ice storms and these rains have been just kind of a bugger, you know. You get the ice, you put it down, and then the next day it rains, so then it washes back off. I don't, we aren't gonna run out of salt, but we're trying to get pulled back and wear it out. But yeah, we probably used 2/3 of what our storage capacity is.
Okay. Do we have any vehicles that we want to get rid of? Because I think we want to sell one that the sheriff had.
What kind of vehicle are they trying to sell?
I mean, anything that you aren't using anymore?
We've got a little Ford Ranger that we're not using anymore. I mean, we've got a lot of older pickups that, I know Greg and I maybe discussed your pickup when you're ready to replace it, that they'd probably make a good truck for ours fleet.
But he has a car right now.
Right, right, you
So
wanna
if
try to
we're-
get.
I mean, if we're going to sell that, we
Yeah.
could just as well be advertising
Yup.
2 or 3.
Put a
to
little
get-
Ford Ranger on there, I'll get you the information, because it's just sitting out now, nobody's driving it. so.
Nobody's driving it, don't need it for weed
No, we
commissioner
put-
or anything?
No, well, no, they use a, weed commissioner's got a bigger Dodge pickup with a tank in it already. We just put, when Hyde was here yet, we put new tires on it and did some front end work to it, so it's not in terrible shape, it's just a small pickup that we don't use for anything. Most of the time when we use a pickup, we're pulling a trailer, or we're pulling some heavy stuff, so. Yeah, we'll put that out there. And I'll see if there's any other things we want to get rid of in the meantime too. There might be another pickup just sitting out there that's, try to turn over our fleet a little bit. So, if there's nothing else,
Did you figure out a way to run the bicycle trail up the middle of your road?
up the middle of it, oh yeah. No, I haven't figured anything. That's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, you can't fill that west ditch and put it there either, so.
The west
That's
ditch would
back
be,
under there.
the west ditch would be easier to fill. Maybe a person has to put a bigger culvert in there to get the water to drain out, but, I mean, there's options. I was looking at the right-of-way through Bailey, and the way the GIS platted it, there's a 100-foot right-of-way, but I'm not sure the documents are gonna reflect that there's a 100-foot right-of-way there. If there's a 100-foot right-of-way from Bailey to that intersection to the west, well, then there's plenty of room away from the road, between the field and the road to put a trail, but I'm not so sure that that's correct. It might be in Bailey, it's 100 feet, then when you leave town, it shrinks down, but I can't find, I haven't put a lot of time into finding the documents on the right-of-way plat through there, but I did do a little research on it, and I haven't found anything definite to tell me what it is.
Anything else for county engineer Brum?
Just got Some bumps on the way to Carpenter.
Yeah.
We don't pay speeding tickets, you know.
I'll try to speed. It's not worth it. I do know the sheriff, but I don't think that's gonna work. Sorry.
I think Hyde 2 different times ran off that curve west of.
He said, that's what I was always worried about, he said that car knew its way off the road on those curves. So I figured it out.
Thanks, Rich.
See ya.
Tom, you're up.
All right, real quick. Tonight the city is approving a report, which we talked about last time. What I'm gonna go with you guys right now is the project schedule. On March 5th, I will come to you guys, I'll have the resolution ahead of time, but we're gonna set the bid dates for the Osage wastewater plant project, okay? In that time frame, there will be a mandatory pre-bid meeting at the Osage wastewater plant on the 26th. The bid opening will be April 4th. You guys award it at your April 9th meeting, okay? The pre-bid meeting, you guys will get notification of that. Anybody's welcome to attend that if you want to see which contractors are looking. But this is the 4th time this plant's been upgraded, so it's important that the contractors see it and understand it, because it hasn't gotten any bigger those 4 times. It's the same size it always has been. So it's a lot more complicated to work on, so we have a mandatory pre-bid meeting for that. Then, you're gonna award it on the April 9th meeting. A week before that, on your April 2nd meeting, you're going to set the bid dates for the Valent pre-treatment plant, okay? There will not be a pre-construction, or a pre-bid meeting for that, because it's a blank site, so 5 tanks are out there. The bid opening on that will be May 2nd. You guys will award that on May 7th, okay? And then we're in full bloom. I've been working with Kathy, and hopefully I'll have everything done today. I'm trying to forecast out the payments that you guys will be having on these plants upcoming, okay? And it's just my guess, you can't hold me to it, but I'm gonna do the best I can, because she's trying to figure some things out for you. So I'll have that to her today, but these are the dates. I'll forward you the resolutions, I'll copy Mark on them, you can take a quick look at them. You guys can wordsmith all you want, I don't think it hurt my feelings, I don't really care. And we'll just kind of go from there, okay? But those are the dates. And then somewhere in that time frame, I would like to give you guys a wastewater lesson. I know it's probably not in your high point, but I'd like you to see what you're actually doing out here. And I'd like to sit down with you guys and maybe even do with the City Utility Commission, get them both done at one time. And again, I'm not gonna force that issue yet, because we got time, but I'd say sometime in the middle to end of March, I would like to just sit down with you guys and let you understand what all's going on. I think it's important, even if you don't really understand wastewater or even care about it for that matter. But you know, you're spending some dollars, so I want you to know what's going on. But I'll keep up on that. I'll kind of coordinate with Dunley too, to let him know that I'd like to get his utility commission together for that same meeting. All right, that's it. So the dates are set. We're rolling. I'm working with Kathy to get the funding all figured out. That's it for now.
Anything else for?
Maybe we could do a picnic out the wastewater treatment plant that day.
You know, it's a beautiful site. It really is. I go there with the second, third grade class when I was there one time. But it is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I'd like you guys to take a look at it. But we'll go over it. I'll go from there.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Yep.
We'll
Thanks,
see you next
Tom.
time. I'll see you.
County Attorney Walk, you're up.
We finally got closed on that property we sold back to Tim Scholes. So now I'm gonna get a hold of Ivan Wold and get going on purchasing that lot for the county. Joel, you'd sent me some questions about the Conservation Board budget.
Right.
Get those answered?
Questions I had were whether or not we wanted to lay down that 1 mile strip this next summer. They've got it in their budget, that's in the general fund. They've also got $20,000 in there for consulting fee. And I have a real problem with all that. I called 2 of the conservation people yesterday too, and it was just like what Richard said. Why do you want to spend almost $500,000 to get to another dead end unless we have an exact trail to get there? If we remove those two items, you said we have to strike those now.
You just,
We can't put them in there, because once it's in there, it's in the budget. They
Right,
can
you strike-
move the money around however they want.
yeah, I gave you the code section that says you strike that by resolution, and it does not go into the budget, does not go into the budget hearing.
On the other hand, can we keep it in the general fund in case it would come up throughout the summer?
You mean as a line item in the general fund? Put it into the general fund budget?
Right, they actually made a new administrative number for it, Wapsie Trail, I don't know, they got center agency service, $20,000. And then over here, it's, Wapsie Great Western Trail Construction, $375,360.
Well, they have that money though.
No,
That's
we pay,
$375.
right, that's an earmark, but
That's their.
you spend it,
Washington,
we may reimburse you later at 80%.
Oh, really? That money is? I thought they had that from that big,
Grant?
that grant.
Cat grant?
That
Didn't say
cat
cat
grant.
on this.
Well, I
it just
thought they
says-
got reimbursed 100% on that money.
I thought the cat grant, they had that
All earmarked, it says.
365,000.
But then it goes back to the same deal. How, I just asked Rich, how we get into that strip we're gonna lay down out in the middle of nowhere?
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, there's
You want-
3/4 of a mile
see the
that,
map?
All I was asked is, with
Right.
regard to the budget, do you have to approve their budget? No, they don't have the power to levy, and it's just like if I submit my budget, if you don't like a line, you guys strike the line and it doesn't go into the budget. Whether you should do it or not, that's up to you.
Well, even the board at the conservation, some of them have reservations about it.
Of course, if they had reservations,
Then
why
they
did they
should-
approve
yeah,
it?
then they shouldn't have submitted the budget. Obviously, they had a majority. or
Because
they
there's
wouldn't have-
somebody there from the Wapsie Trail pushing for it.
But still, if they don't believe in it, they should vote no then.
Well,
I
the
mean,
buck
that's,
stops here. We have to approve all those budgets. We need to be looking at that stuff. That's our job. You know,
yeah, and I don't know why they need $20,000 for consulting. I mean,
absolutely.
what's there to consult?
Then take it out of the directors if you can't do the job. But anyway, I just asked you that, and then I also, Mark, found, as I was down at the courthouse, there was in March of '98, somebody basically answered that same question from the county attorney's office. You know, it says,
Make me a copy of that.
you can have this. I thought I explained it really well. You know, it's in there, once you put it in there, it's in there, we have no more say over it.
Yeah, they're an autonomous board, right? Conservation.
Well, they're an autonomous board, but they're no more an autonomous board than I'm a autonomous elected county official.
Right, but-
If I submit my budget and it's not like the hospital board that's got the power to levy.
Yeah, they can't levy.
And you can do anything, they can do anything they want, there's nothing, well, there's a debate on whether you can or whether you can't. But with them, if, you know, I've said this a million times, he who controls the purse strings controls the
Right.
purse.
Right,
You know, if you want to strike a line, that's it.
yeah. Well, but I mean, you know, if you put it in their budget, it's
Once it's in the
theirs,
budget,
theirs.
they can choose to spend that money on something completely different.
Right.
If they want to, as long as they don't go over their total budget.
Right,
You can't line item veto anything once it's in the budget.
correct.
It's the same for everybody.
Same
All
for
the elected officials and the appointed ones also, according to that,
And boards,
and boards. So,
unless they have the power to levy.
because of that grant and that, I really don't want to monkey with the grant, but I do, like you say, that the other $20,000 is,
that, and I also want to see the plan and how we're getting to the Mauer County line. I guess that's, I mean, otherwise, why are we jumping another mile down the road and not even connected to the rest of the trail? Take that money and do something else on that trail. I mean, that's something we need to talk to them about, I guess. I mean, I guess you answered my question on that. We don't need to belabor it.
well, why don't we
anymore.
have Adam come in next Tuesday and.
Well, we're meeting with the Malheur County Commissioners next Tuesday.
Right, but-
On the same subject, but what I wanna know, there's a 4-mile leg coming down to the Iowa-Minnesota border that's supposedly gonna connect to this trail, but yet we have no way of getting there other than going down the secondary roads. And I'm not in favor of paving a mile or 3 miles of secondary roads out in the middle of, I'm not gonna say nowhere.
Well, the
Because
traffic
it-
count's what, 15 a day or less?
5 to
Five
10,
a day?
5 to
something like
10.
that. It just-
And so now we need a better route. I mean, and then the folks of the rail bed, they're not in favor of selling it to the conservation at all, so. I don't know how we're gonna get there. I mean, and I don't see, from that meeting we had in Adams that night, they're more interested in getting from Leroy to Albert Lee. They want that section finished first, and I think that 4-mile leg to the Wapsie will probably be
Well,
last.
they only have to go, they only go to Austin. That's a different group that's coming from Albert Lee to Austin.
Okay,
So that, I mean, they're working on that,
so we gotta
Adams.
talk to them next week and see where they're at. You know, if this is 15 years out, we've got enough trail that's gonna be needing probably upgrading in 15 years to, where's the money gonna come for that? I mean, I don't know, I wanna,
The only thing,
this whole
mentioning
thing,
about the trail though, again, you know, when we were doing some of that, south of McIntyre and even through, was it Pinnacle Alders? Up north of McIntyre, you know, that gets almost as expensive because you have, those trucks have to back up a mile and a half and whatnot. It gets almost as expensive as doing a regular hard surface road, so that, you know, to that extent, if we're on the road,
now if we fill in the ditch,
I mean, I don't care how, but you know what I'm saying?
well, that's my feeling, I think we could fill in the ditch and make the trail right there.
Yeah, I don't care how we do it, but I mean, but it gets to be about as expensive,
I know
like
what
you
you're
say.
saying.
And so, I mean, yeah, we might not be able to justify it for traffic count, but I think we can justify it on cost, because the cost is astronomical, like you say, to back up a mile and a half or whatever and have that, because it's just such a slow process when you,
Oh, yeah. Well, I talked to the board members yesterday, and they both had the same feelings. If we can't get there, then why spend the money? You know, if we've already got the correct number of miles that Mitchell County was to lay down for the cap money,
but just because they put it in there though, doesn't mean they want to spend it. I mean, they still haven't voted to spend it.
they did when they approved that budget.
No, they voted to have it in there. They haven't voted
It's the
to,
same thing, though.
no, not really, Joe.
Yeah. I know, Stan, but once it's in there,
I
it's in
understand it.
there.
I understand it, but
And
we
then what
also
doesn't
get, we
then what
don't,
doesn't get spent gets put into another fund, and then they ask for more next year.
well, but this isn't earmarked from another grant. They can't just up and transfer that anyplace neither. I mean, they have to use it specifically for trail building.
The 20 day bill, I guess.
And,
Anyway.
but we
that
can
was
make
my
it very, we
concerns.
can make it very clear to them if they do something that we don't like, they're not gonna get further funding.
Different date on
I mean, we do have control even though we've put it in there. Because we can make that
No, I get
very
what you're
clear. You know, screw us once, you won, screw us twice, we win. You know what I mean, trying to screw us.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But anyway.
Anything else for Mark? I don't have any.
This is not county attorney, but do you have that Floyd Mitchell Chickasaw sanitary landfill agreement with HLW?
I thought I gave that to you.
You emailed me a copy.
Yeah. Well, they brought 2 copies, I signed them, they sent them down, that's.
Okay, so we're good on that.
Yeah, as long as it's, that email you gave me is good enough to say
Yeah.
that it's okay to sign.
It's okay to sign.
I'll forward that out to them, they can put that in the file also.
Okay,
And, yeah.
all right. Anything else?
Well, I got one question for the sheriff, you might wanna sit here and listen to this too.
Okay.
It seems that when we were at the first legislative forum, and that accident involving a DOT person over south of Riceville a year or so ago,
Secondary roads.
Secondary roads, DOT, that individual was never charged, and who investigated that accident, and then there was no drug test done for 48 hours later.
Iowa State Patrol did an investigation, Trooper Mark Domino. It's my understanding he was charged, Joel.
Okay, well, that individual that day said there wasn't, he was,
Who were you talking to?
we weren't talking to anybody, he was talking to the legislators, and I just was listening to what he was saying. And I'm
Okay.
assuming it was the father of the.
It was the father.
Okay.
Okay.
That was, and he said, no, as far as he knew, nobody was ever charged on that.
Okay, Mark Domino investigated it, and I'll take as a phone call to firm that up, but I'm certain he was charged.
Okay.
And as far as a DOT drug test,
Are those required immediately at the accident scene, or is this at your leisure down the road?
the only way that the patrol would request that is if they had cause. And I don't
Okay.
think the crash itself, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, would be enough. Now, company policy might be different. Do you have an opinion on that?
Wasn't this Howard County?
And it was on
Yeah.
the Howard County
was
side.
on the Howard County
of
side.
Addison.
Yeah.
But don't we both have jurisdiction on those kind of roads? I mean, not that it,
That's been my understanding, if that's accurate. We had also a crash, a semi that was overturned at the south of Statesville on the curve at the same time.
Same day,
Yeah, and so that's where myself and Sheriff Yonker were. State Patrol took that one over there.
Well, I didn't
But I'll
know,
find out
and
for
I
you.
just, you brought this up, and I kind of gave me pause to, I'm thinking, what's going on here?
I can't imagine that he was not charged.
Okay, well, I couldn't
No,
imagine
no.
that either, because the,
Here's my question, because the guy just came in to see me yesterday, and this is the first I'd heard of this. It's like, okay, what would he be charged with?
The truck driver,
Yeah,
I'm just speculating, maybe reckless or careless driving. I don't know. I'd have to talk to Mark.
I don't know either.
you might want to talk to some of the,
I mean, just because an accident occurs doesn't mean a criminal law was
Right.
violated. There
That's
could be a
correct.
civil law that was violated, but not necessarily a criminal law. I mean, the perfect example is somebody's driving down the road and they hit someone that's either walking or riding on the road. They're driving the speed limit. There's a civil law that may have been violated, but what's the criminal violation? If you can find it, let me know, because I can't and the AG's office can't.
But I'll be able to tell you on that
Right,
crash
that would be
specifically
interesting.
what the charge was, if there was one.
yeah, and I think
curious
the
on
same
that.
thing, I think the same thing happened with myself here earlier this year and got me fired from driving bus. I failed to activate the flashers. I don't know why. There's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, so on and so forth. But like you say, I don't see any anything in the code that says there's a criminal penalty with that. It's, and the same thing that you look under the do's and don'ts for the sheriff. There's 80-some things that Sheriff Beaver's supposed to do. Enforce the drug laws, enforce the tobacco laws, enforce this and that. And it doesn't say there's any penalties if you don't.
Aaron and I have all that discussion all the time, and we just had it again yesterday because there's a new federal law that went into effect having to do with schools and carrying guns on schools. But I said, well, what if you don't do it? What's the penalty? And we still can't find what the penalty is if you don't do it. So there's just a lot of laws that say you shall or you must, but then what's the penalty if you don't do it? I think you open yourself up to civil liability.
Right.
Because, okay, here's a law that said you had to do it, you violated that law. Civilly, you're liable, where there's no criminal penalty for it. So,
But even civilly, I mean, like with the sheriff again, so he doesn't do a tobacco check this month. I mean,
yeah,
Can we force them to do it? I mean, you know, I don't have a, you know what I mean? I
He's an
can't.
elected official. They could not reelect him, somebody can bring that
Yeah,
up. You didn't-
but I
yeah.
mean, yeah, there's just nothing that,
Yeah. And just on that regard, related, the amount of time we're spending on juvenile cases right now probably far exceeds the amount of time we spend on criminal cases or doing civil work for the county. It's just, I don't know what it is the last 6 months, but it's just crazy. I mean, we had kids recently bring a gun to school and, you know,
can I ask what school?
Osage. And we had a 3.5-hour hearing on that on Wednesday, and we're having another hearing this Wednesday, and there's another kid that's gonna be charged, and another kid that's gonna be charged. And I've got Beaver trying to locate a kid who we had in lockup, who took off, and we're trying to find him, and there's another one who took off just the other day. I haven't gotten back to you on that, so we got 2 on the run. Well, they're 17.5. They take off, they figure I can hide out for 6 months, and once I turn 18, there's nothing they can do to me. Well, they're gonna find out differently, that there is something we can do to them.
Where are you gonna put them when you catch them?
I got room for them.
And we can house them there. So,
Well, we almost won the award last month down at juvenile detention for having the most money sent in.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time before Mark ever gets the case.
Yeah.
It's
it's
tremendous.
all kids, excuse me, that deserve to be there, because it's not like they've just made a bad decision. They've made a bad decision, they've been convicted, they've been ordered to do this, and then one kid had an ankle monitor on, he cut the monitor off and took off, and then he stole a car, and now he broke out again and stole another car.
He broke out down there?
Again, yeah. Hein?
I don't know who it is, they don't give us their name, but
Fine.
we've seen whoever's in Mitchell County.
That stuff's all public record now, they changed the law, I don't know
Alright.
why they won't give you the name.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll have to
that's the Hein kid.
Well, can we get an ankle thing with a ball and chain, and then during the day, they have a rake, that they're out there in front of the school raking the lawn and this and that, so the rest of them kind of catch on this isn't fun?
I would agree with you, our Supreme Court probably wouldn't, so.
Well, but until we're penalized for,
Yeah.
under home rule, we should be able to do this.
Got any of those laying around, we should just have them laying around, so.
Isn't that called community service?
The thing is, everybody sees, you know, and it's not so big here, but it is down south, and especially in Arizona. You'll see these chain gangs, you know. Everybody thinks, oh gosh, you're really putting those guys to work. That's all voluntary. They choose to do that rather than be locked up in a cell for, 23 hours a day. They'd rather go out and rake and work than sit in a cell. So everybody thinks, oh, they're really working hard and being penalized. Well, they've chose to do it. They're not being forced to do it.
Well, that was brought up a few weeks ago by somebody too, that he said, quite often when somebody gets their first DUI, they tend to lose their job, they lose a lot, it costs really the county a lot more than, he said, why can't we give them a choice of you either take your DUI or you pay this, you take a choice of public intox, but the public intox, you voluntarily pay $10,000 for your public intox fine.
Talk to, who's the Des Moines Register reporter that, a couple of years ago that did that big story and the one county attorney got kicked out of office. You can't do that stuff anymore.
Oh, I remember seeing the Dallas County, wasn't
Yeah.
there, someplace like that?
Because-
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
that.
we can't do okay, you're gonna lose your license if you get a speeding ticket, so plead guilty to defective muffler, make $1,000 donation.
Yeah,
We can't do that
Dallas
anymore. None of that stuff we can do, we can't do it. And as far as losing their job, I would say, if somebody's got a job, that doesn't happen, because we do accommodations on everybody that's got a job, which says you can come in and serve it on the weekend, or you can serve it during the week, and we'll give you, 8 hours work release, whatever you need for your job. So if anybody's got a job.
Over in Winnebago though, Winnebago Industries, if you get an OWI, they will fire you, even though that you've never missed work in that. That's my understanding. They
I
just
would
don't-
like to, I would guess that's an urban legend. I would like to see that.
Talk to
I'm not gonna talk.
Jeff Schultz.
Yeah.
No, Jeff Schultz, supposedly that's what happened to Jeff Schultz. I mean,
Yeah.
and he's the one that said it.
I can
can't.
tell you this much, that much is not true.
Okay.
So,
I mean,
All right.
that was the one that said it, though.
Yeah, their workforce would be half gone if that was a problem. So, all right, there we go.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
I almost said Sheriff Yonker. So
You
used
got a check
to.
for someone, and you get that.
Stands a chair this year.
Only if we approve of it.
Motion to approve the sheriff's report.
Second?
It's been moved in second, to approve the sheriff's report. Further discussion. Hearing none, vote by the.
Aye.
Morale. Well, motion carries.
I do have a couple of things, if now's the appropriate time.
Well, the only other thing, Kurt used to have 2 copies. I don't know if one went to your file and one went to,
Well-
Just sign one of these.
I mean, not that it matters, but I just
Okay.
wanted to let you know.
All right,
Yeah, there were usually 2 originals.
Julie probably has it. I'll check with her on that.
Sorry about that. Here.
Just a couple things that I want to bring you up to date on. Our sheriff's vehicle should be ready to go. It's been at Mills for a week now to have the graphics taken off it, so that one should be ready to be advertised and sold. As far as getting the mileage, do I get that to you, Lowell? Or
Yeah,
140,300 miles?
140.
Yeah, ish. 300.
Yeah, if you can get that with the registration and everything.
Yeah, I'll get that from Claudia.
Okay.
Okay, I'll bring that into you.
Okay.
Probation fees are now being charged by our office, so when the court sentences essentially somebody to probation to our office, that's been done for nothing. It's been a free service for years. We are now charging $300 for that. And that's pretty standard around with other sheriff's offices, and it's the same fee that Department of Corrections gets. So they have to pay that up front before they're ever signed up for probation with our office, so.
So in other words, if they don't pay it, then they actually go into the slammer, or?
Well, they do have the option of paying $50 a month for 6 months. If they don't do that, if they agree to that and then don't, they violate their probation, it goes back to the court, and then the judge decides their outcome. So it motivates them to pay. So that's now something that we're charging for.
Any idea what that might generate, just out of curiosity for you?
3,000 to 5,000 a year, you know, just a guess, you know.
Just curious.
Yeah, it just depends on what our judges do.
Sure.
We seem to get plenty of probationers. Department of Corrections is full, so they bring them our way, so I'm hoping it comes in there, or maybe a little more. Update on a new hire. I made a job offer last week on Friday. Young man's name is Tyler Rothmeyer. He's originally from Alameda County. Now is a police officer for the city of Creston, Iowa. We had Jeff go down, do his background. Comes to us with a 4-year degree from Upper Iowa. He's got 3 years of experience in academy certification. When this all started back in November, we had 37 applications for one position. That got weeded down to 10 by our Civil Service Commission. And then from there, we took the 10 down to 3. And then we put the last 3 in front of oral boards, and that board consists of myself and Jeff Huftlin, retired Judge Brian McKinley, and then retired Principal Ross Graft from Osage. And they all got ranked, and Tyler came out the top, I guess, of the 3 that remained. And so he'll be starting with us on March 10th. Will be his start date, and we'll be back to full staff. 26, 7-year-old kid.
You gotta give us a formal,
Yes.
and we have to approve it. So,
Okay.
I mean, that's
I will-
always
I will get that to you.
and that's for all department, I mean, that's.
For you to okay that.
Just, yep,
SOP.
Okay, you bet. That's on me, I wasn't aware of that, so we'll get that taken care of. So anyway, that's,
We'll have to have that for action next week then.
okay, I'll take care of that today then, get it out to Lowell. That's, I guess, all that I have from the sheriff's office.
Okay, it came up as to whether the courts up there, they want some kind of a security system thing, but
Panic buttons.
what's your opinion?
Kind of waffle on that, Joel, I think 911 is appropriate. Dial on the phone, I really do, but
I was
I think
questioning,
the judges feel better now that we have courtroom security there
Right.
all the time. The questions that come up, or the time that we don't, is when they go in after hours and work. And so, I really feel 911 is as effective as it's gonna get.
Right,
was
because
questioning.
you'd still go, this system would still go to the comm center, right?
Yes.
And so it'd still go through that
Yes.
same channel.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's $1,200, and I'd asked Dave about it, and I asked him, because he's kind of up on, you
Right.
know, that electronic stuff, and, you know, the only thing, I mean, it would always go with the county. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily stay there, it's a mobile system.
And I'm not sure the $1,200 included the CRC
Probably
when
not.
we had trials.
That's right, never thought of that. Yeah, there'd be probably another system then.
Yeah.
Or is it something they just carry separately?
I'm not familiar enough with it. I don't
I'm
know,
not
I
either.
think it's hardwired, so I think it's.
This is
something-
wireless.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with it to know.
I got it. It's wireless voice alert system over the sheriff VHF radio system.
Yeah, and that's probably
That's
just
me
from
with
down
me.
there.
If they start screaming, you hear it automatically on your radio.
Yeah. It does, it just interrupts everything and that's what you do.
I suggested with the judge that we have a meeting with
And, well,
with the
I'm-
sheriff
Yep,
and
and
maybe
sit down.
Scott Hand
Yep.
and you and,
We just sit down and talk about it because it is our responsibility
Right.
to the courts.
Well, you'd think it'd be easier just to push a button than it would be to try and find your phone and dial 911 too. Wait for it to ring through.
Well, I guess one of the comments that was made is that there's people that come into that clerk of the court and they sit there and they stare at the hell.
Probably do. Yeah, they probably do.
And anyway, that was something I just
Yeah,
wanted to
it's-
ask you.
I know you haven't been in charge that long at all, but ever since we had panic buttons put in, what was it, about 2003, something like that, Bull? 2002 probably?
oh, I was thinking of after that, maybe.
Well, Tanner was still here.
Yeah, it was maybe 4, because we got it at the courthouse first, and then they're at the, had little different ones at the county services building.
Right. But how many times has somebody really ever activated? guess
I
that's
don't
my
have a
question.
number for you, but it has been activated. There have been occasions where they did use it from the bench. And that would be one thing that, right now, I don't believe the judge has is a phone at the bench when she's conducting her business, or he's conducting his business. It has been used, Stan, but I don't have a number for you. I've answered some of those calls.
Well, maybe we need to talk to everybody about it.
Yeah,
Everybody
during session, we have a man there.
Right.
It's the after hours times.
Yeah. And do they go there to pay fines?
They do.
Okay, that's probably
Yeah.
part of the problem they have, I think.
Yeah, child custody issues, all those things going on there. They want us there now on juvenile court services day, which is one day a month on a Wednesday. So we're trying to accommodate them on that too.
Normally had court at the old courtroom. Was there a security officer at that time also?
Yeah, it started,
What do they call him, bailiff?
yeah, in the other courts they do.
Well, I watch a lot of movies.
Sure. I don't know, it started probably about '05 or '06, We did it at that time, and then when Russ Hintz retired, he did it. He started it. Judge McKinley kind of cut that order that he wanted courtroom security. On the lake would be a shooting in Atlanta, the courthouse down there, that kind of thing, everybody's awareness. courthouse security.
Well, I've heard that there's a certain amount of threats all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah, there are.
You know, I mean, do you take them serious or do you just blow them off?
I think you almost have to take them all serious, because if you're wrong one time,
Yep.
you're really wrong. Yeah, so I think we need to, yeah, take them serious. Again, that's all I have.
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
No, I just, the only thing I, again, are you having any luck at all trying to see if we can house more prisoners, or, because I see again, you're just under 3,
Yeah, we had 5 last week, and there was 1 this morning when I left. You know, the PREA federal regulations are just starting to impact some of these jails now, and so I haven't had the opportunity to go to surrounding counties. I hear different things from jailers talking where some counties aren't gonna do PREA, they're just not gonna do it. And so, there again, what's the consequence if you don't? What's the federal government gonna do to their jail? And so, I guess the short answer, Stan, is no, that I have not talked to any of the surrounding sheriffs, simply because I don't think the timing's right.
What's our capacity?
33?
33? Okay. That's if we move the stuff out of it.
Right. Right.
but actually, we ran into that though before. I mean, once you go above a certain amount, then you have to put on a second jailer, and that's when it gets to be inefficient again, unless you really increase that number sufficiently.
Right.
What is that number?
Well, it's,
10 to 12.
10 to
And then
12,
once you
so-
go over that, you'd have to have another jailer. It kind of comes down to the safety,
Yeah.
is what it is. You know, 10 to 12 inmates for one jailer.
Oh, yeah.
That's a handful. Mhm. So we'll see as we move forward. And when the timing's right, I still intend to
I
do
mean,
this.
I think, truthfully myself, I think we got a year to look at it, and, but next January, if we're still at 2, 3, we may have to, you know, try to decide that, hey, look, we might have to farm them out. I don't know. Again, $650 for jailers versus $150 to, you know, to farm them out. Budgets are gonna continue to get tighter. It's, I don't know where else.
I'm sure every county has the same discussion.
Well,
You know.
but like I say, let's see what we can do in the next year.
Okay.
Because I imagine Howard County doesn't have all that many either.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they would.
I can't.
No, and they're a county that I'd like to, you know, talk to Mike at some point about. Their facility's pretty old. I don't know what their plans are.
You know, even if we could help them with the transportation thing back and forth, I mean, you know, I mean, we need, you know, we always talk about we need to start talking, or cooperating with other counties and, you know,
And we could do that.
yeah, I mean, we could,
Riceville's halfway.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. You know, and with
Same
this,
with
like you
Floyd.
said with this PREA thing, I mean, they've said themselves, they got a antiquated jail over there, don't they?
They do.
You know,
Yeah, and it wasn't too many years back, they talked about what's in our future, you know, is it just gonna be an office, administrative office for the sheriff? They can build a jail, they don't know if
you know, like you said too, Floyd County, that's, I keep hearing the war stories about that down there.
I do too, so we can work with those folks.
And we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every once in a while, they send somebody
Yep.
our way
Yep.
to stay at our bed and breakfast.
Yep. That's right.
Crowbar.
So, yeah, I'm all for working with those counties, if we gotta go get people or whatever we need to do. Yeah,
Well, the thing of it is, we got a new facility,
that's right.
you know.
Yep.
Kinda silly for us to close ours and them to keep the antiquated ones open, I mean, that
And
don't
then
make
build new
sense.
later.
Right,
Mhm.
you know, and if it's just a matter of transporting people to be at, court dates on time and whatever, I mean, you know,
We can work all that out.
maybe we should hang on to that car.
Well, maybe we should hang out of the truck.
Yeah, that too. Well, what do
We
you
can
make them
work
ride
out-
in the back or what?
Well,
Well, yeah, we build a
Just
cage
saying.
in the back.
we'll work it out.
Tie them up, throw them in the back, we'll be there in a half hour. So, yeah, anyway,
Cage
so
in
there's a
the
lot
back,
of things
we
we need
park
to
that
talk
and
about.
I
before we
think so.
Pull the plugs on anything.
Yeah. And I don't know how much contact you guys have with their supervisors down there and, you know,
I see them once in a while, I'll mention it to them.
you know.
Yeah, when I get on juvenile detention, that's a good time to bring it up.
Mhm.
What are you guys doing with your prisoners?
How
Well,
about-
I know a lot of those down there house Blackhawk County.
Mhm.
You know, I think, Hardin or Bremer or one of them take 30 of their prisoners.
Bremer's got federal contract,
I think,
yeah,
okay.
but,
I don't know what
yeah, it
kind-
wouldn't surprise me if Blackhawks and some of those other counties.
Oh, they,
I talked to their jail staff, or their jail administrator, 2 or 3 years ago. I said, we'll come and get your people, and give us your judgment and sentence people, and we can release them right from here, we don't have to bring them back. Or somebody come here and get them. But I didn't hear anything back, so.
because I know they were, I don't know what they got for capacity at their jail.
Blackhawk County,
Yeah,
probably, I think it's close to 300.
but I think they were way over that.
Yeah, probably are. Have I ever gotten you guys my proposal to hold state inmates? Have you guys ever seen that?
No?
I'll get you a copy of that.
All right.
That's something I put together in 2011. Met with Josh Burns about it, and Senator Amanda Reagan, some area sheriffs. You know, we're paying $130, $140 a day at state level to hold these inmates. We can do it for 50 or 60. Our judges can sentence our local people to our county jail, and they don't have to go to Oakdale. They keep their job, their work release, close to their families, rehabilitation. There's a lot of pluses to it.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get you a copy of it, and
Okay.
you guys look it over and be interested to hear what you guys think about it.
Well, and it
Judge
gets to be kinda silly too, when you hear, when we're down to second judicial, that, like B.G. Clark might have a waiting list of 6 months, and so they're running around for 6 months, and then after, you know, what kind of sense does this really make?
Well, we've got TV too, don't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Cable? Well, yeah, it'd have to be, wouldn't it? I mean, I think we're, like you said, sending them to the state for 170 or whatever a day. They might as well be spending time here, doing the same thing.
That's right, at half the cost. It's a win for the county because you generate revenue. It's a win for the state because they have 50% savings in their upfront costs. PREA was a big obstacle in 11. We didn't know what PREA was gonna do or what it was all about. But PREA is a program, whether you have 1 inmate or whether you have 1,000, you have to implement it. So that's not an option anymore. The problem some of the sheriffs had with this was that they were afraid the state wouldn't pay their bill. That then it would fall back on the county to pay for these inmates that we're holding for the state. And I don't see that as an issue. I don't think that would happen to us. I don't want it to happen to something that, you know, you gotta.
Well, if we have a
Concern.
contract with them, we can always sue on the contract.
You could contract with them.
I mean, once we have that written document, we have a reason now that we can take it to court. You know, if that really was a
Right.
legitimate.
Right, I think there's some recourse there, but I'll get you that plan. Judge McKinley thought it was, I mean, it was so obvious, why aren't we doing it, type of thing. And every county in the state could participate if they wanted to. Not just,
What the legislators think of it.
well, Josh thought there was, some validity to it, thought we needed to work on it further. Amanda Reagan she mentioned the contracting side of things, and that's fine, but Oakdale isn't gonna bring their people to Mitchell County. I want the judges to be able to do it, you know, and so I think too that she thought it was okay. Probably needed to look at it a little closer, because you're gonna then start to involve Department of Corrections and probation, parole people. All those people need to have their say. Director of Prisons, Tom Baldwin, I think his name is, he was willing to come up and meet with me. Said, I'll listen to you if you got an idea how we can save money. And so,
Well, again, this might be something that Brian would be willing to help you with.
I think he would.
To try to get it implemented, and
It's gonna take some political pull, is what it's gonna take, more than just a common sense approach.
but I mean, Brian does understand a lot of that, and so, I mean, he would be one that.
And he's
he has
one
some-
that I ran it by, and he thought,
And he has credibility,
yeah,
so.
yeah. I'll get you that information, I'll leave it for you.
Thanks. Good.
Anything else for Sheriff Buell?
I don't have anything else.
Excuse me, guys.
We're probably gonna be having our budget hearing out at County Conservation here in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Instead of trying to get everybody jammed in here and.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm gonna go then, guys.
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep, thanks a lot.
You bet. Have a good day.
Minutes. You all got a copy?
Yeah, you're right on that.
You want to bring something there?
Yeah, the Chickasaw County Board approved 2% wage. The Chickasaw County approved the 2.5%.
Okay.
Mitchell County didn't approve anything.
They approved 2.5, and we just,
Well, they approved a 2% for their employees.
But 2.5 for the TCMs.
Okay. So maybe don't even.
2% is correct.
2.5 is correct.
You're both correct.
They're both correct. But it should say, oh, okay, the Chickasaw County Board,
It
2.5.
says for their employees, but then
After discussion, consensus, Mitchell County Board proposed 2.5. Well, Chickasaw, being that they're already Chickasaw County employees, approved 2.5% increase for the TCM case managers. That's part
Just
of
shorten that up then.
the whole issue of the thing is that Mitchell County really never has anything at all to say about it. That's, so I wouldn't want us to look like we didn't approve anything yet.
Okay, so just say Sheila reported that the Chickasaw Board approved a 2.5% wage increase for the TCM employees.
they put TCM employees in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we officially approve that, or?
Over there,
Yeah,
I think they did, what she told me.
okay. I'll pick out that last sentence then. 2 weeks, so, okay.
But other than that,
That's your motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion to approve it as amended.
I'll second that with the changes.
Okay.
It's been moved and second, further discussion. Oaklander.
Aye.
Morel.
Aye.
Walk, aye, motion carried. Authorize chair to sign cost allocation plan.
That's what cost allocation thing is here, right?
Yeah.
I make a motion to allow the chair to sign the cost allocation plan.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second, chair signs the cost allocation plan, further discussion. Oaklander.
Aye.
Morel.
Aye.
Walk, aye, motion carried. Items to note, meetings attended.
I didn't have
I
any.
had FMC landfill, and we hired our new engineer, HLW group out of Story City, and they'll do our water quality and all reporting to the DNR, and basically taking over just as the same duties as Rick Yeager did for the past 20 years. And other than that, that was pretty much what it consisted of.
Yeah, I didn't have any.
I'm trying to think. Seems like there was something in that.
There's always something, Stan. Phone rings constantly.
Right. I was out to county conservation, and, again, they're, like I say, they're trying to kick that trail thing around. And,
I'm all for that trail, but there's gotta be a plan going forward. We just can't willy-nilly this thing anymore. I mean, that's been part of the problem from the get-go. And when they did have a person out there that was getting things done, then all of a sudden that fell apart for whatever reason. And then I talked to one of the board members yesterday, and evidently it's the family that owns the land directly south of the border that doesn't wanna, and his opinion was, just quit talking to them, they're not gonna give it to you anyway, I mean, so.
Yeah, you're just irritating.
Right.
They don't wanna part with anything, so.
well, the other thing that was brought up then last Tuesday night at county conservation, they are working on getting rules set up for allowing ATVs again in the park system where they camp. And so that we can have people from other counties bring them, and they can leave to ride and come back in, but they're to stay on the road. And so, and just on my own personal thing, a week ago Monday, I went over to Riceville, and they're gonna consider at least letting them into the watering holes and gas stations. And so I might see what Mayor Eastman, yep, thank you.
Dean's mayor over there?
Yeah. What his thinking is since then, and I think he was, fairly receptive, but.
Well, I guess if they don't cause any problems, what would be the difference any more than that in a motorcycle?
Right.
You know?
Or anything.
Right.
Horse and buggies.
Well, that too.
I mean,
They always leave their calling card.
I know.
Well, and I did kind of chuckle that basically there must be a committee down there in the state legislature that's looking at allowing golf carts on the rural roads, and I think we've done it under home rule.
I know it.
And I don't think we've done anything that we couldn't. It was, like you say, it wasn't addressed otherwise, and under home rule, we done it, so.
Here again, it's not been a problem.
No,
You know, it's,
so other than that,
and Mark said you can run over them if you want it.
Well, if it does become a problem,
Well, then it has to go
come
away.
to an end,
You
you
know,
know, and I get more complaints about snowmobiles than I do ATV. You know.
they can be.
They ride all night long, and they whine, and
Just
Haven't heard that too much
disturbing the
lately.
peace.
Maybe Thursday.
Yeah, no snow.
No snow. It's been quiet the last couple of days.
well, you won't hear them Thursday neither, because the wind will be blowing too hard.
That's what I said too.
Last night, we did have that meeting out there at Conservation, and I had at least 3 different people explain to me that they really couldn't hear the speaker. And again, people tend to have a softer voice, I think, at times. Some of these older people have a hearing problem, and yet again, I really do feel that the county should possibly, one way or the other, invest in a sound system, look into what we, be it a portable sound system or something, but we have enough meetings that we've had complaints, and I really don't feel we're doing the public justice, the business and that, if they can't, and I realize they should sit on the front row to where they, but
No, that's one of the, it's very hard when you do go to a meeting to hear a lot of times.
Yeah.
I have that same problem, even in board meetings, I mean, not necessarily here, but other ones.
I do at the Charles City Library,
Oh.
because there's, there's like 20 people on the board, and they're so spread out, and that room's so big,
Right,
it's really tough to hear.
and then there's another little mini meeting going on somewhere, and then that just adds to that distraction and, yeah, no, I think we should maybe look into that. Getting a sound system that's portable enough that we can, anybody in the county could use it, I mean.
I talked a little bit to Dave this morning, and he would be willing to try to look for us, and Dave's pretty good at all
Oh,
that
yeah.
stuff, so if you don't mind at least having him look into it, see what he comes back with.
And maybe somebody could come and demonstrate one for us.
Sure.
We could go out to the county conservation, maybe like, when we have March 5th, maybe, see how that works.
And then the other thing was, we did run out of chairs. And so I don't know if this is
Well, I don't know
something.
what would happen if we just stayed at the library.
Well, you want some planks and bricks?
I mean, you wouldn't fit all the people in there.
No, I know.
Because it was
but-
probably, I'd estimated 60 or a little more people,
Oh, there's more than that.
65.
Because that row across had like 12 or 14 chairs.
I was trying to count.
And there's at least 7 or 8 rows back, and almost all of them were full. I mean, there's only a scattering, one here and one there, that didn't have somebody sitting in. What was your estimate, Jim?
75. I estimated about 75 people. Because you had some people come in and leave, and then other people
So,
coming
yeah,
in.
and that was maybe when I counted earlier.
Yeah, but you had to take into account there were probably 68 people that came in and out. So I thought closer to 75 people.
Maybe, well, maybe we can get some chairs.
But I agree, the sound, I had a hard time, and I was sitting off to the side where I could try to see in here. I had a hard time at times hearing out there, just that room is so dead that it just doesn't go anywhere with sound. And there's some really nice portable systems that you can get with speakers and easy to maneuver and work with that are not a
But if
problem.
you happen to find some of that information too, would you
Yeah.
be willing to share it?
Yeah, I have one over at school that we use, portable for speech, that is really nice with dual speakers and easy with microphones. It takes like 5 minutes to hook it up. It's really simple, and I don't think it was very expensive. It'd be very good, and it's not that heavy to carry. It comes all in one component. Just pick it up and you just carry it. It doesn't require a whole bunch of moving a whole bunch of equipment.
Would this have like a portable mic? Because if you have to stand just in one spot and
Well,
yell into it, that's not a.
No, it has a microphone that, long enough cord, but also with the adaptable with the headset. I'm not certain. I have to look because I just used the actual microphones and it's long enough cords.
But I
and-
mean, if
yeah.
it's attached to a podium, that makes.
Oh, it's
for
not.
an
You need,
It's
you
not.
need another one for the public if they're gonna speak.
And it has that. This one has enough hookups for like 6 microphones.
Okay.
Maybe
Long
have a
cord.
remote one,
You can walk around with it on a cord. It doesn't
Or
tie
no
you
cord.
down. But I can
No
see
cord
about the
would be better.
Yeah.
wireless. But this system works really well. But I'll look into it. I'm sure it's not expensive. Our PTO bought it, and they don't have much money, so I know they didn't spend much on it.
Okay.
Because the school has no money, so I know it's not expensive. But I think it'd be great out there, especially.
And I think when anybody's running a public meeting, they should say, at the beginning, everyone shut their cell phone off, do not be texting. Because some people will text without putting it in vibrate, so other people hear that. And I heard that as a complaint last night. I heard that this morning already. That's being really rude and discourteous to what's going on around you.
Anything
If
else
you
for
need to do
the,
that, you should get up and leave.
Yep. Anything else for the good of the cause? If not, we'll stand adjourned at 9:40.
Recess till 10 o'clock, or, we have
That's
to adjourn,
that's-
that's a separate meeting.
Yep.
Yep.